AI is taking jobs.
AI is saving time.
AI is the biggest threat to your livelihood.
AI is the best tool that's ever been created.
And you control which one it is for you.
My name's Kim, and this is my brother Garrett, and this is the Prime Grit Mission. Today we will show you how to make sure that AI is a tool in your hand instead of a knife in your back.
So all the hype nowadays is with AI and how much time it can save you on your emails, on your schedule, whatever else. Kim, tell me, is it really worth the hype? Miss Schedule over here. Kim schedules everything, by the way. So tell me, is it really worth the hype? Is it really saving you that much time?
I mean, I do have to say, I am the queen of, man, I wish I had more time. I'm also the queen of, oh, it will only take me 5 minutes and takes me 30 minutes. And it really has been a huge game changer. AI, especially the way that we use it, has been a huge, huge time saver for me, which has been amazing. And I have to admit, I was a little anti-AI for quite a while.
I didn't know that. Why were you anti-AI?
I don't know. It's just freaky and weird. And like, even when it was like first coming out and like big for real on Google, and it'd like tell you like the AI summary or AI says this at the week, I would always scroll past it to go find my own sources because I didn't trust it and I didn't like it and I thought it was dumb and thought it was a fad or whatever. And now I'm converted, you could say.
Oh, wow.
But it has saved me a ton of time. And for me, time is one of the most like precious things in life. Like the way that we spend our time, what we do with our time, and a lot of things we have to do with our time. I don't enjoy doing them, but they need to be done. And so I love the part of AI that covers those things for me, so I can do more of what I love.
Yeah, I sometimes wondered if our final judgment is just like the allocation of time. I don't think it is, but I sometimes just think that way. It's like, hey, look, I gave you 80 years. You spent this much time doing this, this much time doing this, this much time doing this, It actually reminds me of the story of the talents that Jesus told. You should pull it up. We should start there.
Okay.
So it's Matthew 25. And then it's a longer one, like 14 to 30, I think, on the verses. But just start reading just the beginning, and then we'll just kind of dissect it. We'll skip through some of it. But I think it's very relevant, even though it doesn't sound like it, it's very relevant to the world we live in with AI.
We'll be the judge of that.
Okay. Fair enough.
So it says, "For the kingdom of heaven is as a man traveling into a far country, who called his own servants and delivered unto them his goods." So
hold on, stop right there. So here's one of the things I love about Jesus when he talks about the scriptures. He always says the kingdom of heaven is like, right? He's really telling you, hey, this is what heaven is supposed to be like. This is how it's going to work, right? And he's trying to help them understand. He gives them earthly principles on what heaven will be like. And frequently, as in more often than not, he does it with business. And so it's the exact same situation here. He says, there is this businessman who has servants, employees, he has lots of goods, and he's going to give to each one of them according to their ability, right? And so he's trying to tell us, like, heaven was the same way. God gave each person talents, right? In this thing, it's money, but I love that they use talents because it also represents the talents, the skills and stuff that we have, right? But he's going to give each one of us according to our ability, according to what we need to do. Right? Sorry, keep going.
It says, "And unto one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, and to another 1, to every man according to his several ability, and straightway took his journey."
Yep. So it's just like that. He gave it to him, then he leaves, and then we can skip ahead on this part, but we all know the person who had 5 talents doubled it, the person who had 2 talents doubled it, and the person who had 1 went and buried their talent in the earth and tried not to lose it, and then eventually, so read the verse that comes right after that.
"After a long time, the
Boom.
Lord of those
That's
servants
it right
cometh."
there. after a long time. That's what the actual thing that this businessman gave to his servants, and what God actually gives to us is time. We all have time in common. 1 second for me is the same as it is for you, right? And the thing that he gives everybody is time, and that's what he judges us off. He doesn't judge us off of the amount of talents that we got. He does it off of the time and how we use that time.
Yeah, what we did with the time that was given to us.
And then he goes on to say, we can skip through some of this too, but he says, the person who had 5 and doubled it and 2 and doubled it, both were called good and faithful servants because they took the skills that they were given. This is God that gave us skills. They're people who use those skills and the time that they were given to make them bigger and better, right? And then the person who kept it and hid it and didn't show it to the world and didn't try to push out there and build his business or share his talent and his skills with other people, the things that God gave him, and he used that time foolishly. So what did he probably do at that time? I mean, because he wasn't working, right? Like the other guys, like it doesn't matter at the end. And that's why it doesn't even say in the scriptures. Yeah. Because it doesn't matter. It doesn't, and it's the same for us. It doesn't matter what we did with our time. If we didn't use it to push God's purposes forward, we wasted it. And it doesn't matter what else it was. It could be, but I had this really high-paying vice president job. Doesn't matter. It could be, I was even feeding orphans in Africa. Well, if that's not what God wanted you to do, it doesn't matter, right? But most people, and this is most people, and myself included, I've fallen in this trap many times. We actually just distract ourselves from having to do anything, having to feel anything, having to work anything, having to build anything. We just want to sit on the couch, scroll on our phones, watch something on TV, and not have to actually do or become anything.
This is a trap of the day, I think, is to not do. It is like everything is designed to make you sit and consume and consume and consume and consume and never do anything. Even like video games, no offense to any video game fans, but they are literally created to make you have this like false sense of accomplishment, even though you're not accomplishing anything. So you still kind of get a reward in your brain, but you actually didn't do anything like the whole day.
Similar to like watching videos on your whatever. It's like scrolling. You scroll. Yeah.
You get a little dopamine hit, but you actually did nothing the whole day.
What's the opposite of a dopamine hit when it like leaves you hanging? What's that called?
I don't know.
Dopamine
crash.
Fake hit? I don't know. Because that's what gets me. If I'm watching a show and it ends on a cliffhanger, oh my gosh. The unresolved things for me are really hard. It's why I'm good at getting tasks done, but I'm really bad at not watching the next episode.
Yep, and it's designed just for that, I will say.
Okay, so back to the talents parable. If you actually look at what they're given, it's time. And that's how they all got judged. And so if you read the judgment, it says that the ones that use their time wisely, it says, "Well done, thou good and faithful servant, because you have been faithful over little things, a few things, I will make you rulers over many." Right? And it's interesting that it says it goes from servant to rulers. Right? It's almost like he's saying, hey, I'll give you ownership now, where you'll benefit from it. It's not just I'm going to get mine and you're going to keep working for me. He's like, I'm going to make you have your own. Right? He's like, I'm going to make you an owner.
And we're joint heirs with Christ, as they say. Right?
Yeah. And then contrast that with what he says to the servant who told him, hey, I know that you are always trying to reap where you haven't sown and get where you haven't, put in the work. So I just buried my talent. Here, you have it there. And he doesn't even say like, here it is. He says, it's wherever I buried it,
Mm-hmm.
And so and then read what he says to him.
His Lord answered and said unto him, Thou wicked and slothful servant, thou knewest that I reap where I sowed not, and gather where I have not strawed. Thou oughtest therefore to have put my money to the exchangers, and then at my coming I should have received mine own with usury.
So God is basically telling him like, hey, I'm a really good businessman. And you knew that. And yet you decided that just holding on to it was good enough. He's like, that you didn't even take into account inflation. It's worth less today than it was when I gave it to you, Yeah. But then what does he actually tell him what like his reward is?
And he says, and cast ye the unprofitable servant into outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. And everyone, he says that take therefore the talent from him and give it unto him which hath 10 talents.
Yeah. So he's saying by not using the time wisely, he is a wicked and unprofitable, or does it say slothful servant? You just read it. Unprofitable servant. Yep. And then this is the thing too. He takes from him and then gives to the person who had 10, right? If you look at that, that's like the exact opposite of how our society operates today. Today, we look at the people who have very few and we think we should tax the rich and to give to that person. But that person has already proven, and I'm making just a judgment statement off the parable here, right? That person has already proven that they can't use their time wisely. And think about that. When kingdom of heaven is like this, right? So I'm not saying that earth is like this. Jesus is saying heaven is like this. The people that do nothing and don't bring profit to the kingdom lose what they have, and they have nothing and are cast out. And then the ones that do their work and use their time will actually get more, right? He's not saying that it's all even and it's all on this curve where we're going to take from the guy who has a lot to give to the guy who has a little, right? I mean, I feel like that's almost taboo to say.
It is, yeah.
But it's exactly opposite of how we think.
It's the upside down kingdom.
Is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's really powerful too because it's essentially, in my mind, interpreting this to our prime grit like methodology is like God saying, you helped no one with what I gave you, right? This is the exchangers. They go to the exchangers, they trade and they get more, they double what they had, meaning they doubled the people that they helped. Even in a business standpoint, like you sending money around helps the whole economy, right? And then if they didn't do anything, no one was benefited. Not even he was benefited from having the one talent because all he did was bury it in the ground. Mm-hmm. So essentially, like, nothing beneficial happened for anybody, which is the opposite of what the kingdom of heaven is supposed to be like, or what business is supposed to be like. Like, the kingdom of heaven and business are supposed to be to serve. And none of that happened.
Yeah. And then the other thing with that I really like is we as people always focus on the have, right? And so we say some people have little, some people have a lot. The person who has a lot should give to the person who have a little, right? We're always focusing on have. But what this parable is showing, if you read it carefully, is he's saying that everyone had time and they had it equally. And all he's asking is, what did you do at that time? He's not saying you had a lot of talents and you had a little, and so it's different, right? And if you actually look at how he handles that, the person who had 5 talents and made 5 got the exact same reward as the person who had 2 and made 2, right? Mm-hmm. He judged them on a curve based off what they had, but he judged everybody the exact same way on how they use their time, right? We always focus on the have. What do I have? What is given to me? What am I able to do, right? We always focus on that as people. Mm-hmm. God's not worried about that. He's given everybody what they need according to their, what does it say, several ability.
Yeah.
Right? He's already given us everything that we need. What he's asking for us is like, how are you using your time? And that is what you're going to be judged on, right? That is what he's saying in this parable. He's not saying that, and there's multiple things he's saying, right? He's also saying, I've given you talents and I expect you to use them, right? But he's saying, I expect you to use them with the time I've given you. And that, I think, is the reason that the guy who had 1 got in trouble. I think if he would have taken risks and he had 1 talent and he came back with half a talent, but he said, you know, I tried my best. I put him in the exchangers. I did all this and this and this, and I had some bad luck or some things went wrong. I think the Lord would have came back and he would have said, good try. Here's what you could have learned. Try again next time. Mm-hmm. But when he does nothing with his time, that's the worst sin, right? Failure wasn't necessarily the problem here. It was he didn't use his time. And I think about us today, and this ties into AI. Give it a second.
We're getting there.
Us today, we focus so much on not failing or on the success or on the amount of money or whatever it is else, and we forget about the time. And I really think the time comes first, right? We need to show that we can be faithful over a few things, right? That we can be faithful for a little while. And then he can make us rulers over many things for a long time.
Yeah. So how does that apply to AI?
Excellent question.
Garrett
Kim.
broke a rib, everybody.
Yeah, I cracked ribs, so anytime I laugh or breathe hard, it
Or
hurts.
do anything.
It's a sensitive subject. But okay, so AI is being pitched by all these software tools and everybody else as the ultimate time saver, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I will say it's a powerful tool, and it can save you time, but most people just fill that time with other things. Hence the parable that we're talking about. It's about how you use your time, not necessarily how much you get done. AI can get more things done for you, right? And people love to talk about, I save this much time a week. I have watched a bunch of these AI pitches, right? I'm pretty deep into the AI stuff.
Yeah.
And they always measure, like, we save you this many hours, and at this much price per hour, you save this much a year, and we're only charging you this much for this AI tool. And it just feels like, well, that's obvious, right? Mm-hmm. And people that value their time, that's obvious. It is obvious.
Yeah.
But when you actually look at how people are doing it, they're actually just spending more time on their computer using AI, because what they're finding is they're connecting a million tools and doing a million other things to try and save just a little bit of time, mm-hmm. right? And we use AI for our company a lot, but we do not use it in the normal way.
Yeah.
Right? We use it a whole lot different, because we don't look at AI as something to just streamline or improve a process, right? We look at AI as a tool to fulfill our purpose. And when AI is a tool to fulfill your purpose, it's the best thing out there, because of what it can do, how fast it can do, how good it can do it, right? It can do things faster, better, smarter, cheaper than I can in seconds, and things that I'd have to learn, think about, figure out how to do it, and then suck at it for years before I could do it right. It can just do it that fast, and it can learn that fast, right? But on the flip side, I think most people look at AI and they think it is taking away jobs. They're building data centers. They're going to take away our water. We're going to die of thirst, right? Everything about AI is a boogeyman and the end of the world, right? But we're saying use it differently as a tool to fulfill your purpose.
So explain that a little bit. What do you mean when you say, and I mean, explain it to them. I know what you mean, but when you say it's a tool to fulfill your purpose, so it's not a threat, now it's a tool to fulfill your purpose. How did those contrast?
Well, if I don't have a purpose, and let's say I'm a data analyst, okay? And you could pick any job that's done by a computer, or if you work on a computer, it can already be automated, right? And we'll show you some of how that works. But suppose I'm a data analyst, and
I do want to say just before this, we've looked up some stats that, AI is a threat in the sense that, what is it, 80,000 jobs that were going to get replaced by AI. What is the stat?
I think it was something like that, like 80 million. But people also claim it's going to create 120 million, right? I think those are nonsense stats. And then even a lot of the people that have said that, like Sam Altman, the OpenAI guy, and others, have all said they don't really believe it. That
it will add 120 million jobs, you mean?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things that they don't believe, right? And I don't buy for a second. I mean, I think new jobs will be created, but just like almost every advancement that we've had throughout human history, it doesn't expand always the amount of jobs, right? It shrinks them, and then we find new jobs that advance people further, right? AI will be the same. I don't know how much you've read about history, but when you look at what happened when they first invented the tractor, there's people who resisted it. You would think every farmer would want that, right? But there was tons of people that were so used to plowing their own fields or plowing fields for other people that they didn't have a job, right? Now the tractor is an amazing tool. It is the best tool for farming, right? But it displaced jobs, so there was stuff against it. And that's not the only example. There's examples if you go back to printing press, cotton gin, so many of these advances in technology, at first people reject them because it takes their livelihood, right? What makes AI different is it is doing it on a scale that has never been seen before.
Yeah.
I think it's like 80 or 90% of jobs right now could be replaced by AI. And because that can happen in such a short amount of period of time, it is a major threat, not just to like the people that get replaced, which is 80% potentially, but also the economy as a whole, because that much job displacement tanks an economy.
Yeah.
Right? And so a lot of people see that and they're scared. And so they resist it, right? We don't want data centers, right? They look at this AI things and say, quit releasing these new models that are so dangerous and doing this. And they see someone who tells an AI to do something dangerous or learn how to build a bomb, and then it can figure it out and all these things, right?
Yeah.
And then you have people that try and counter that by saying, well, look all the good it can do. And it becomes this battle on, is the tool good or bad? But at the end of the day, the tool is a tool, and the person who holds it gets to decide if it's good or if it's bad. It's on how they use it.
Which is essentially the principle of all tools, right?
Yeah.
Of all things, inanimate objects, right?
Yep.
You decide if it's for good or for bad.
Yep. And really the way you decide it is how you use it with your time, right?
Because you were explaining about the purpose. I got us a little off track, but you're explaining how it's not a threat when you know your purpose.
Yeah. So when you don't know your purpose, you look at that as a threat. You're saying that's going to take my job, right? And it's going to take the water. It's going to make these people trillionaires while I'm still struggling in an economy that has everything, the prices all going up, inflation's going down, and now there's suddenly no jobs, right? And if you bought a house recently, your mortgage is out the wazoo, and how are you going to afford that when your job's being replaced, right? And it's not just random people. It's like any job can be replaced with AI, right? We'll have to talk about that. Remind me to talk about the K curve. Okay. That's what I call it. But on the flip side to this fear that is going to replace you is if you have a purpose, something that you know you're supposed to do, and you know you're built for this, and it's about accomplishing that purpose, then this becomes a tool that is unbeatable and unprecedented. What used to take an entire company and an army of people to do, you can now do completely by yourself in a tenth of the time, right? You are no longer a solo entrepreneur struggling to get by. You're a solo business owner that is beating companies 10 times your size, right? That is the power of what it can be, but only if you have a purpose, right? So let me give you an example. If I'm this data analyst and I know AI is coming from my job, and I look at my job as my source of income, and that's all it really is, it's just a job.
Yeah.
It's a threat. I'm not going to be able to feed my family. I'm not going to be able to make money. I'm not going to be able to get another job. I'm not trained in anything else. Like this, it becomes a major threat, right? But now if I'm a data analyst, but I'm here to analyze data to figure out what the real problem is in getting clean water to people who need it, and now I get AI, well, guess what? AI is going to be able to do that job, and I'm able to find a way to get clean water to them, right? I'm not worried about, oh, this is my job and this is my identity. I need to hold on to this. I'm more worried about, I got to solve this purpose, right? And if you do that, and then all of a sudden you're like, hey, I'm replaced in my data analyst position, it doesn't matter because you just take the next step. Okay, now I need to make relationships. I got to find people who are local who can take care of these wells that we're going to build. I got to do all these other things. And guess what? You can still get paid along the way, right? Like everything changes when you have a purpose. AI doesn't become a threat. It becomes a major blessing.
And I think it's important that we just talk about God in this part of it, that it's like, if you know what God wants you to do with your life, and then now you have the best, most efficient, fastest tool ever to do it with, that's awesome. That's a win, not a lose. But if you don't know what God wants you to do, you don't know what you're doing with your life, and you lose your job, then suddenly it's like, it feels like a threat. It feels scary. Everything seems hard. But at the second that you know from God what you're supposed to do, and you start doing it and have this tool to support you in it, then yeah, you can explode. You can accomplish your purpose 10 times faster, 100 times faster than you ever would have before with AI as a tool.
Yeah.
Which takes us back to the K curve.
Yep. So the K curve, and actually even before we go to the K curve, I'm going to say this one little thing. So many people that I've talked to have all said the same thing, like, I wish I had more time, right? And a lot of times they're saying, I wish I had more time off. Like they're saying, I need a break from my job because guess what? It's not my purpose. And they know it. Most people know that. And that's how you're feeling, like, I need more PTO, I wish there was an extra weekend day so I could just recover before I get back to my job. You're not living your purpose.
Yeah, everyone feels always.
So many people, and I felt that, right?
Yeah.
And then many people, everyone I've talked to has said, if I said, hey, do you want an extra PTO day? None of them would say no.
They're like, right? No. I don't do that sort of thing.
Yeah. Right? They all want more time. And I feel like God sees that. And so he offers us this thing that can help you get your time back, right? But if we're not willing to actually use it, then it doesn't do any good, right? If we're just going to reject it, call it scary, call it evil, call it whatever, you're just giving the gift back, right? And all the technology that we have, or that could advance us or whatever, it's God-given because God is truth and he's the source of truth. So when AI works, right, the technology of AI is something he created, something he made possible. Now, it can be used for bad, okay? Don't get it twisted. Like, everything that God does, Satan will create the opposite and twist it.
Yeah, corrupt it.
Yep. But AI, so it's like the scripture where he says, if you being evil know how to give good gifts, then how much more do I know how to give you good gifts, right? But as part of giving a gift is like you have to recognize it's as a gift, right? And I think that's specifically why God says, if someone asks for bread, do you give them a rock? Or the next thing he says, something about a serpent.
Fish.
If you ask for a fish and give him a serpent. Yeah. What he's really telling you is like, you know how to give good gifts. I'm going to give you even better gifts. But the reason he has to tell us that they're good gifts is because we don't always see it that way. We look at AI and we say it's a threat. We don't understand that he knows we want more time. He knows we want to be more efficient. He knows that we have this increasing speed at which we're advancing and growing and learning. So he's going to help us with that, where we can now understand it. He can talk to us in normal language instead of just zeros and ones, right? He's giving you a gift, but people are saying, no, looks like a rock, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you don't understand that it's a gift, then you're just not going to use it, right?
I have to say, this is like getting really exciting for me just talking about this because I just had this moment of clarity where it was like, God isn't giving these gifts. Like, there's been other times, other technological advances that God has given and brought about through good people that had given us the opportunity to have more time. But because we get greedy or want all the things we want, we haven't used it in that way. At least in the U.S., we want more money, right? Everybody wants more money and wants more things. But if we really, truly started living these principles and turned our lives over to God, we would be blessing the whole world. Like, God has so many children in the earth that are suffering, right? So if we actually find our purpose and use AI to run a business that does good and helps, then like God wants us to do that. That's what the more time is for, right? Is so that we can help all these struggling people in the world that don't need to be struggling. Like, there doesn't need to be people that don't have clean water. There shouldn't be people that are human trafficked. Like, these things should not exist, and God doesn't want them to exist. And it is within our power to stop them.
Yep.
And it has to be done in a way that's scalable and sustainable and can be fixed. And God has literally put in our hands like the greatest tool to be able to do it. And people are so against change and so afraid of change and the unknown, because that's honestly what looking at AI future is a big unknown for a lot of people. It's so scary that they're rejecting it. Whereas if you figure out how to use the tools God gives you, use the tools God gives you in a good way, we can change the world. And that's like what we're about. It's like, we really believe that we can change the world.
Yeah, that's literally the whole reason that Prime Grit exists. And that's why we call it a super business, right? Is you can create a sustainable, a scalable business that blesses other people. And guess what? That profit becomes fuel and it grows and it grows, and you find a forever fix and you build this coalition behind it. Guess what? It can actually solve these real problems, right? The solutions are not that complex, but sometimes building everything and the engine to make it work can be, right? And that's why business is for sure the best tool for it.
Yeah.
And AI is just like putting a souped up engine inside that tool. Like, it can make it happen so much faster.
Yeah.
And that brings us back to the K-curve.
Yes, it does.
So we're at this point. So think of, time going here, and we're at this line in time. Almost always when there's a new technology, there is...
You look at the camera and explain this.
Yeah, there is always... So if you think about this as time, and then we're at this point in time, right? This line, the part of the K right here, okay? And then usually when this happens, when there's a new technology, only the people up here, the rich these are the top of this K line. The people who are rich have the opportunity, right? They're the ones that, okay, people talk about the 2008 crisis and it went down. All the rich people who were able to buy up real estate, guess what? They got way more richer, right? Mm-hmm. All the poor people, they just lost their homes, they lost their money, they lost everything, and their 401ks, everything went to pot.
Yeah, miserable.
And they struggled, right? If you tried to retire around that time, you're done. Mm-hmm. You just got the worst luck in the world because it happened during a crisis. Mm-hmm. But if you had money, you made a killing, right? And that's how it is every time there's a major swing. The rich benefit and the poor don't, get poor, right? Yeah. AI, though, is so cheap and easily available to everybody. We're all right here in the middle. And so for the first time in history that I know of, it doesn't matter if you're rich or poor, you are at this same point in time with this same technology. And so you'll see some people who will go up for this part of the K and other people who will go down. And it has nothing to do with if you're rich or poor. It has everything to do with how you view AI and how you are willing to use it. If you're going to try and be scared of it and avoid it, you're going to fall. If you're going to be smart and you're going to use it to fulfill your purpose, it doesn't matter how poor you are, you're going to go up, right? And let me give you an example. So we use AI different than most people, and we'll go briefly into that, but we have a whole AI masterclass that people can use. Yeah. Watch, it's free, and that'll show you kind of more in depth, right? But we use AI using our own local files for storage so that we have our own memory, and we can go from any AI provider that we want. So it doesn't matter if you're on a Claude, GPT, Gemini, if one of them raises their prices, you can go to the other and you lose nothing, right? We call it an AI CEO system or an AI business system, right? And that system has different agents that do their different jobs for us so that we don't have to, right? Essentially, we have become experts at everything that we need to be in a company, and all we have to do is tell the CEO what we want, and he orchestrates it, right? So that's how we use AI, right? Now, one of the ways that I've used it, and you do it this way too, is I had it build its own project management dashboard, right? So it keeps track of all the things that I'm doing. It keeps track of what I need to do next. It even writes me little memos that'll have like a scripture or a story or things like that. And anytime I do a task, it automatically updates it itself. So I don't have to go in and mark like this complete or where am I or what's going on, right? I can just see it there all the time in real time. Now that is what most people would call a CRM, right? Which is just a software that manages everything that you do and the work and the tasks and everything, right?
Yeah.
Salesforce is a CRM, and they are a multi-billion dollar company. I don't know how big they are, but it's huge.
Yeah.
Right? The way we use AI for us is free. So why would we ever pay for Salesforce? So Salesforce is at this K, and they're $1 billion company. If they don't find a purpose and adapt and use AI, they're going to go down on that K curve, right? And if they go down on this K curve, that $1 billion company goes bankrupt because they're not needed as they stand, right? And right now, I don't know all that they're doing, but I think they're just adding like AI features, right? That's probably just not going to be enough.
Yeah.
Right? And they can change, and there's a million things that can happen, right? I'm not trying to say...
They are in the middle, really,
truly. They're right in the middle, the exact same place as the brand new college student, as the person who just lost their job, right? The person without a job and $1,000 in the bank account has the same access to this AI as Salesforce. If they decide, hey, I'm going to use this to fulfill my purpose, they're going to go up on that K. If they decide, I don't know, AI just took my job, I don't want to do anything else with it, I hate AI, they're going to go down, right? We're at this K point, right, where it just has not happened before in human history. Doesn't matter if you're poor, doesn't matter if you're a billionaire. You're at the same point in the exact same spot on the exact same level. And if you have a purpose or not will determine if it works for you or not.
Literally, the broke can be millionaires and the millionaires can be broke in just like that.
Yep, just like that.
And it's honestly a crazy time.
It is pretty crazy. So there's one other scripture I wanted to read. It's in Ephesians chapter 5.
Are you pulling it up?
I have it up, yeah. Okay. And it's verse 15 and 16. Okay, but it says this. See then that ye walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise. Right? Pretty straightforward. Don't be dumb, be smart. Right? And then here's the next thing he says. Okay, and this is how you be smart. It says, redeeming the time because the days are evil. So people read that and they're like, okay, what do you mean by redeeming the time? Well, if you look at like the actual root word of redeem, it means to buy back. So what he's telling you is be smart, buy back your time. I think if you apply that to AI and you apply it to even building your own business as opposed to building someone else's empire, right? Instead of selling your time for money, he's saying buy your time back. Build a business that you own and you control your time. Because guess what? The days are evil. And he doesn't mean like, hey, Monday is an evil day, right? What he's saying is like, there's enough bad stuff out there, right? And if you don't have control even of your time, the thing that God gave you and wants to see that, hey, you can be a good steward of this today, then how are you ever going to be able to prove that you can be a good steward in his actual kingdom over his people that he loves, right? You have to start with the time. You have to start with the few things before you can get to the many. Now he's saying, buy back your time. AI is literally the gift designed to help you get your time back.
I have to share this. I've been thinking about it like the entire time that we've been talking. So everyone forgive me, but my husband is the biggest Lord of the Rings fan. Garrett's a big fan. I'm a big fan, but my husband's like next level.
James is on his own level.
Yeah. But there's a time, and sorry if I'm getting off track of where you're going, but with everyone, so the majority of people really resistant to AI. It reminds me of when Frodo is like really sad and he's like, man, Gandalf, I wish that I hadn't lived to see these times. They're really dark times. They're hard times. And then Gandalf says, and so do all who live to see such times. But that is not for them to decide. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given us. And that is literally, I feel like everything we've been talking about. It's like, you are in this K curve, and right now you have the ability to decide what you're going to do with your time. And if you don't find your purpose and you don't use the resources that God has given you, it will bring you down. And you will be unhappy. You'll stay lost. Situations might get worse than they already are for you. But if you find your purpose and use the resources, you can make the best of this time that God has given us, and it will be better than anyone can imagine if they actually do what we're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. So one thing I want to just kind of help people understand too, the way that we're talking about AI, because I think so many people say AI and they just get it really like generic, and then most people think of a chatbot.
Yeah.
Right? We're not talking about a chatbot. A chatbot is probably how like 95% of people use AI.
But is what AI means to people is...
Yeah. And there's like 5, 10, 100 levels past that, right? So most people think of it as a chatbot. That is like, you're trying to use a sledgehammer to put in a push pin. It's like you're just completely misusing the power behind that tool, right? The next level that people like to talk about is they say, okay, well, I use like some agent or some AI tool to automate something for me, right? This is the next 4.5% of people, right? They'll use some tools that will do and complete tasks for them, or they'll be able to automate like really simple things, and most softwares have like added some sort of AI for most of the stuff, but it's like, okay, it can check my emails, it can automatically do my calendar, you know what I mean? Like it can do like these pretty basic things that used to eat up a lot of people's time, right? I mean, getting like a little daily brief of here's all my emails and here's what I missed sounds cool, right? But a lot of times you miss details or things like that. But it's like that again is not all AI can do, right? There's so much more, right? So when we're talking about what AI actually can do, let me just give you some examples of what we do with it, right? So for one thing, we have this podcast, right? Our AI that is basically built as a clone of me and yours is a clone of you so that it can do the things that I want it to do, how I want it to do, right? So I have certain rules that it follows. I have a certain way of talking, a certain way of thinking that it is trying to learn and mirror so that it can do things that way, right? So what it does with this podcast is it will actually listen to the entire podcast and then pick out different clips of it that will make a really good script to post on social media. And then it will cut it. It will add background music. It will add captions. It will add B-roll. And then it will format it for all the different social media platforms. And then it will put it on a scheduler to come out on the day that it should be coming out, right? Now it does all of that, and all we have to do is record the podcast, and then I'll watch it when it's done building and say that's good or that's not good, right?
And eventually you won't even have to do that.
Well, yeah, if it can, and that's the thing is because it learns as it goes, at a certain point, I'll just trust it, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not at that point yet. I still watch it.
Yeah.
But it gets better and better, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, and that's just one little thing, but like anything that you need done on a computer, it can already do, right? And the way that we have it set up is that it's always learning and it's always remembering who we are. And we do it in a way that it doesn't matter what AI you're on. And it also doesn't matter, you don't have to have even on like the chat history on. Like you don't need the $1 trillion company trying to steal your data because you don't even need it. It all lives locally on your own files and you own it, right? And then their system is literally just the gas to make it run, right? That's the cool part about it. And I also do it on my phone, right? I'll be driving someplace or going somewhere, not texting and driving, but just, hand
his
the phone.
His wife will drive it.
But I could just tell it what to do from my phone and it'll spin up my computer and do the whole thing, right? There's literally nothing that it cannot do for you. And that's just one example, right? And we have how many systems built into this where it could do all of it, And I'm not advocating that AI has to do everything. But what I am saying is anything you're not good at, anything that was a barrier to you before, to start a business, to get your idea out there, to even improve the way that you're living right now, is no longer a barrier.
And it's awesome because what you don't like doing, you usually do poorly, right? And so it can do the things you don't want to do. And if you like, it could do something that you like to do, but if you like to do it, you can still do it. And it doesn't have to do it for you. But it gives you this freedom to choose. Whereas like even when we were initially starting our business, there were a lot of things we were like dragging. Like it was so hard for us to do. It'd take us days and days because we didn't like it and we weren't good at it. And so we'd have to do iteration on iteration on iteration, and we were miserable. Yeah. And now it's like that. We have exactly what we want. We do a little edits. We change a little bit maybe. And it's just getting better and better and better. And then the things we really care about, we're really passionate about, the things that make an impact, that do good for people are the things that we focus on, and it handles everything else pretty much.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, that's really, we got this whole concept of time, right? Like you said, we're not coders, neither one of us, right? And so we used to try and build a web page, and we would use those little dinky like drag and drop like things and fill in the templates or get a template and try and fill it out, right? And it worked okay, right? But now if you compare that to the websites that we have the AI build for us, I mean, it's like night and day difference, right? And I actually thought the other ones we had were not terrible, right? They were okay.
Yeah.
They were good enough to make sales and to do things that you needed them to, right? Yeah. But now how it looks is just so much better, right? And not only that, like we can make as many as we want, right? I mean, so I have a system right now where I will have AI go prospect leads for us, and then it will create for them a video clip or a podcast strictly about them, their business, and how finding purpose and using business can help them. And that's a podcast that they can listen to or a video they can watch that's literally all about them, tailored to them exactly. It usually pulls from their own videos or their own podcast. And then it will also create a landing page that is like their website, what it could look like, how it could work, all these things. And then it will just draft an email for them. I'll just read through the email, approve the page, and send it, right? So like the outreach there becomes highly customizable. It becomes so much more powerful and impactful, and it becomes so much faster than it was before when we were cold calling people, right? And so like the amount of what AI can do, the reach it has gone, and how much time it can save you, but also your capabilities are all greatly increased. Now, if you have a purpose, that's an amazing thing. If you don't, you can totally abuse the tool and the power. And people are going to do that. That's not a matter of will they or won't they. They will. What we really need as a society is for good people to get on the train, actually use AI for good things, and set that standard.
That's exactly what I was thinking. It's like, I bet people are listening to this and thinking, well, yeah, cool, you can do way more business and way faster and make way more money and be rich. Cool. But it's like, that's what's so powerful about Prime Grit is that, yeah, we believe that you have an obligation to make as much money as possible because you have people that need help, right? And Prime Grit has our own purpose people that we try to help. And we want to do as much as we can. Like the fact that we can get websites up way faster and make sales way better, way faster, have all of those things better and faster means we help more people faster, right? We serve more people faster. And that is way, way, way important to us and so powerful and what God wants the tools used for. But there will be people that don't, that they do use it to get rich and they will probably succeed, right? And that is what it is. But that's what we want to invite the rich and the poor and the good-hearted really is to find their purpose and then use their business to fulfill it, to do more good faster. Like, think about the lives that could be saved if so many people jump on this train and use their business to do good. Like, even if we do it 5 years faster, 1 year faster, 6 months faster, people's lives legitimately will be saved from that.
So they say that every month using AI is like 1 year of work without it.
Wow.
So think about this. If you're 3 months late to the AI party from today, if you don't pick it up for 3 months, you're actually 3 years behind the person that started today.
That's crazy.
That's not a small advantage. That's huge.
That
right?
is huge.
And here's the kicker, exactly what you're saying, Kim. I think hard times are coming. People say there's like a hastening of the times, like there's a lot of red flags or things people are worried about, right? Now is the time to prepare. Now is the time to get ready so that you are in a position where you can help people. And I think God is choosing people today. He is calling them now to come build something that can actually help people and do it faster and better than ever. That is what God wants. That is how God wants to see AI used, right? To bless his children, to help them, to prepare people, to bring people closer to him. He doesn't want to see AI used as the best fraud tool of all time, even though it is, right? That's not what he wants. That's not why he allowed it to be made. He wants it to be used to help his people. That's why if you have a purpose, AI is the best tool for it. If you don't, it is a threat. AI can trick you to believe almost anything, right? They have clones now of people. They could clone me right now and show a video of me on AI with AI. You would not be able to tell the difference. Maybe sometimes, but they're good enough now that it could trick people easily. So like, it can't be your source of truth, right? I'm not trying to sell AI as its own source of truth or anything like that. I'm saying this is a tool that can, exactly like you said, bless people's lives if you use it that way. If you don't, you are the one that will be taken advantage of by AI.
Yeah.
And AI is coming.
It is.
It's coming no matter what. So you're either going to learn it and benefit from it and help people, or you're not, and it's going to control you.
And it's just like how I kind of resisted it a lot at first, and then it's like you almost can't do anything. Like you can try to do stuff without it, but it's becoming so, I can't think of the word. I don't want to say invasive because that's not the word, but it's like everywhere. Everything's using it, everything's has it. Like it's like you almost can't. So you either need to learn how to use it for good, or eventually you're just going to resist until you're so far behind that it'll be hard. And it won't be impossible. You can find your purpose whenever, but now is the time, right? Now is the time. And it's really cool because another like little blessing from God, I feel like, is like that there was this debate of if it should be open AI or not, and if everyone should have access or not. And they advocated for it to be open, right? So that we all can use it and benefit from it and, counteract some of the negative that will come from it. We can be the good force. And that is the invitation for everyone. It's like that's the invitation for everyone, is to redeem your time and to use AI as a tool to do good in the world, and starting today.
The other thing that we talk about is when you build we call a business the ultimate freedom, right? When you own a business, that is the ultimate freedom, because you're not bound by someone else's authority. You're not bound by your time that you owe to them, right? You control all of those things, right? We advocate for setting up a system that makes it so that you could work part-time and then do the max amount of good and make the max amount of profit, right? AI has taken that to a whole new level. Mm-hmm. Like, you want to talk about buying back your time. We were saying get to part-time, and this is saying I can get you to quarter time, eighth time, 16th time, right? It can free up so much of your time where you can then decide, I'm going to go do good with it, right? You can then understand that this is one of the talents that you've been blessed with, right? Going back to our parable of the talents, this is one of the talents that you've been given, and it's been given universally. Access has. It's essentially so cheap that it is, right? They did, like you said, they were talking about giving it for free for everybody, but they decided not to. They wanted to make money off of it. Anyway.
Hopefully they're doing good with their business.
Well, I'm not a fan of that move in particularly, but we don't have to get into it. But regardless, there is also plenty of open source AIs that you can run locally on your computer, pay nobody nothing, and still run your entire AI system right there. And you don't ever have to try and talk to 100 tools. You talk to one and it does it for you, right? I mean, that's what I do every time I want, hey, there's an update on the computer. Hey, I saw that this thing was broken. Fix it. And I'm done.
Please.
Kim's nice to her computer.
Yeah.
But my whole point is AI has made it so that you can have so much more time. And the question just becomes, how are you going to use it? If you're not going to use it for purpose, I think you're going to be disappointed. And I think you're going to find that when you turn your life over to God, He's not going to just say, here's 100 vacations, kick back and relax. He's going to say, here's 100 things you can do that will help people, right? Like, get to work. And when you actually do that, that makes your work fulfilling. That makes your life meaningful. And it makes you excited to go out and do things, right? And I think everybody needs that. You see people who retire all the time, and within a year or two, they're like depressed because they've lost meaning and purpose in their life, right? Because they do nothing with their time.
Yeah.
And AI could do that to people, right? In fact, I'm certain it already has.
Yeah.
In fact, they said that I have specific stories I could tell, but for the sake of time, I'm going to cut it. But we can easily buy back our time using AI and building a super business, finding your purpose, building a business to help you fulfill it. You can do that today in faster than ever before and live the life that God wants you to live.
That He designed you for. And I love that it's, 1/8 of the time that you're working, but the reach of the good that you can do is 100 times, right? Yeah. So you're doing less work to help more people faster.
Yep.
And honestly, like what we talked about in the first episode of, our last video, what we talked about in our last video is if you don't have a purpose, no matter what you're doing, you honestly will end up unfulfilled, right? So even if you use AI and get rich and you go on 100 vacations, you will have that same unfulfilled feeling that you have going to your 9-to-5 that you don't like. And you might bury it and hide it in the fun for a little while, but you're going to go to bed, you're going to sit awake for those 5 minutes before you fall asleep, and you're going to feel that same feeling that, like, there has to be more than this. And that is where purpose comes in. You have to find your purpose, or no matter what life you're living, it won't be enough. 100 vacations is not redeeming your time, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It is finding a purpose, doing good with your talents, serving God's people, helping those that need it. That is redeeming your time. And AI can help you do it.
Yep. And AI can help you do it. And then I will say too, God loves to bless the people that do that.
Yeah.
Right? He does. And that will probably mean some vacation.
Yeah.
But what happens?
We're not against vacation.
But what happens while you're on that vacation, your system can continue to work for you. It's not like it takes a day off. The system keeps going for you, and you're helping people while you're doing that vacation. Right? Also, it opens you up to be able to say, hey, my vacation this time is not just sitting on a beach and getting sunburnt. My vacation is going to a beach area and building a school or teaching people some skills. Like, you can actually combine the two all the time and just have the life that you want to live, right? For everyone, that will look different. But AI is a major tool that will help you do it if you have a purpose. If you don't have a purpose, it's a threat. And it will dominate, trick, control, and lie to you throughout your life. But if you control it and you're the master, it's amazing. And that is the system that we've built, right? And then we show you exactly what that is in the free masterclass. So click below and you can have it. Is there anything else you want to say, Kim?
I just wanted to read this is really one of our favorite family quotes. My dad's obsessed with it. But it's by Ezra Taft Benson. And he says, men and women who turn their lives over to God will discover that he can make a lot more out of their lives than they can. He can deepen your joys, expand your vision, quicken your mind, strengthen your muscles, lift your spirits, multiply your blessings, increase your opportunities, comfort your souls, and pour out peace. And that is the life that we're wanting for everybody to live. And AI can help you live that life as you find your purpose. Turn your life over to God and say, I will do what you want me to do. And I'm going to use business and AI to do it. And I'm going to try to be as profitable as possible so that I can help as many people as I can. I'm going to help as many of your children as I can. And God will bless you with these things. And that's not why we do it, right? We do it because we love God and we love the people. But He will compensate you for the work that you do because He wants you to be able to do more. He's going to raise up friends and pour out peace because He knows that if you have friends and you pour out peace, you can reach more people. You can do good, more good. That's what He wants.
And that's the point of AI.
No one would have thought that. But that is the point of AI.
That is the tool. That is what it's supposed to be used for.
Yeah.
Yep. So go use AI, figure out how to use it on our free masterclass, and live with purpose.